Greetings! Well, I've done it again. I nearly did it again. Same as I did with the last show. I forgot to turn something on and I sat here. Actually, it wasn't as bad as last time. Last time, you may remember, I had to start the programme 3 times because I kept forgetting to do things. Today, only once. And also, I realised I hadn't started something 10 seconds after I'd started, if you see what I mean. So not too bad today. What is going wrong with our minds? Huh? We need professional help. I'm slowly but surely going completely and utterly mad. And I don't know why. It was this bloke on the radio last night I was listening to. I actually worked with him on another station. And he was saying that he had these, not mobile phones, what are they called? The cordless phones that you have in your home, you know the sort. And the particular type of phone was a DECT. D-E-C-T. I'm not quite sure what this means. But he was of the understanding that when it's not being used, it doesn't pump out electromagnetic waves, which is how these things work. That's how mobile phones work. And you probably know that a mobile phone is not just pumping out radiation when it's being used, you know, i.e. when you're talking to someone, but they're also pumping out radiation when they're not being used. If they're switched on, they're pumping out radiation because they have to keep in contact with the base station. And, you know, I think sometimes it's something we don't always think about, right? We just turn it on and forget about it sort of thing, don't we? When you think about it, the base station being a mile away, these little mobile phones that we've all got now, they must be pretty powerful to be able to communicate with a tower that can be a mile or more away, mustn't they? And they're not directional, are they? They don't sort of locate the mast, wherever it is, and point all its energy towards that. No. The energy comes out all around it, like in a circle. Like if you was to throw up a stone in a pond or something like that, you get the little circles coming out. Well, that's the same principle as a mobile phone. The waves of electromagnetism will come out like circles. And indeed pass through anything in their way, including you. And that's not all. Now, I don't have this, but certainly an awful lot of my friends now have wireless internet connections. Well, you don't need to have the wires connected to your equipment in the house. It's all wireless. Well, how does that work? Guess what? Electromagnetic radiation. All this stuff is chucking out energy everywhere. And it's going through us. And I do wonder sometimes. There are various rules and regulations that each particular item is only allowed to chuck out so much of this electromagnetic radiation. And on their own, perhaps they're not a problem. But have a look at your house now. What have you got in there? You've probably got a mobile phone. Dare I say, some people will have it next to them in the bed, probably a foot away from their head, switched on all night long. Then you've got your walkabout phone for the house, constantly chucking out the waves. You've got your wireless internet. Your television chucks it out. Oh, yes, it does. How on earth do you wonder, certainly here in the UK, we have TV detector vans. They go around looking for people who, rather naughtily, don't pay their TV licence to the BBC. Hallelujah. Of which I am a great fan. The TV and licence. Yes, I've always believed the BBC does a damn good job, and I think the licence fee is worth every penny. So the TV chucks it out. I'm sure you've got a microwave. That's chucking out the signals. Electromagnetic radiation. And do you see where I'm coming from here? We're getting more and more stuff in the house that chucks out this radiation. Fluorescent lights. You may not have a fluorescent light in your house. I bet you're saying to me now, well, I haven't got any of those tubes in my house. I bet you have. Have you got any of those energy-saving bulbs in your house? Well, they're fluorescent tubes. Have a look at one. There's a little tube inside it. It's a fluorescent tube. It's a small version of those long things that you see in shops. All chucking it out. Do you work in an office? How many long tubes of lights are in there? And it was very interesting to hear this bloke on the radio last night. And he thought that these walkabout phones, once you put them back on the receiver, they didn't chuck out the energy. But actually, they're chucking it out all the time. And I just wonder, if, and he was saying years further down the line, will we find that actually this stuff is doing us damage? And he was comparing it to smoking. Those of you that are old enough to remember smoking in the 30s and 40s, I wasn't around then, but certainly I do remember it being advertised as being good for you, a good way to keep weight off. Now, before those of you who want to lose a few pounds take up smoking because of what I've just said, bear in mind, how many large people do you know that smoke? Okay, so I'm not so sure about that one. For Christ's sake, don't take up smoking to lose so much weight. I think you're probably better off with the extra weight than smoking. And incidentally, if you have given up smoking recently and you're putting on the weight, let it go, okay? Don't worry about it. Let it go for a year and then do something about it. You're better off to give up the smoking than try and tackle the weight at the same time. If you can, then you've got blooming good willpower. You can only do one thing at a time, my darlings, all right? Get rid of the smoking. Abort it. Oh, I hate it. Incidentally, how are you getting on in the UK, those of you that used to smoke and can no longer smoke in bars and clubs? That whole bit where, we're not happy and all this, that's 2 years ago now. 2 years ago, they banned smoking from enclosed public areas in the UK. Are you a smoker? Are you happier with this now? Because I am. It's so much cleaner. No longer do we have to come out of there stinking of cigarettes. I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke 40 a day. I gave up about 17 years ago. Best thing I ever did. That and started doing these shows to talk to you. And for you to talk to me, of course. Any comments at all about the whole smoking issue, do let us know. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk. It's always nice to hear from you on the emails on any of our subjects, or indeed anything else. If it's your birthday, you want me to sing happy birthday, I do that. We do everything here, dear. Everything. Going back to the electromagnetic radiation thing, yeah, I just find it a bit strange and a bit worrying. Everyone said, yeah, that's okay. Oh, no, it doesn't affect you. But we don't really know, do we? For years and years and years. And then I wonder if, say, 10 years down the line, they made a connection between mobile phone use or electromagnetic radiation and, say, some forms of cancer, how on earth would they tackle that? Because I don't believe for one moment Someone's going to come along and say, right, well, you can't turn your television on anymore. All the mobile phones are going to be switched off and the rest of it. You'd have to deal with it, would you? Wouldn't you? You'd have to make the choice yourself. But even then, it's not really like smoking. If you're in a room, right, and someone's smoking, you can walk out the room. Let's be honest. You or the person smoking can walk out the room and then you're not breathing in the smoke anymore. Incidentally, another thing I wanted your comments on, I do believe there's a group now trying to get smoking banned in enclosed cars with children in them. It does annoy me. People who are smokers, and they kind of blindfold themselves to the issues. I've known so many people who say, well, I smoke in front of my kids and it doesn't affect them. Of course it does. Where do you think the smoke's going? All right, let's put it, if we've got these smokers in there, think of this example. When someone passes wind, right, in a room and it smells, you know about it. It goes in your lungs and all over you, that smell. Well, it's the same with smoking. It's bad enough if you're in a large room smoking and there are children in there. They are breathing it in. But when you're in a car and the windows are I don't even know how people can smoke in a car with the windows closed. Even when I smoked and I was driving, I'd have to have the window open to get the smoke out of the car. But when you've got children in there, of course it affects them. It's going down their lungs. And they've got a new movement, I believe, to try and ban smoking from cars with children in them. What do you think of that one? Let us know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Perhaps you're not in the UK and you already have this law, do you? Does it work? I heard about this on a radio show the other day. Same one, actually, with my mate who I do another show with. And he was saying, he got a phone call from someone saying, well, it's all very well them doing this, but you see, like with the mobile phones, now here in the UK, we are not allowed to hold a mobile phone up to our ears in the car and drive at the same time. We have to have a hands-free, like an earpiece or an internal thing in the car. And this woman was saying, well, people are still using the mobile phones like that. We've seen that happen. The same thing will happen with the smoking. Well, perhaps so. Some stupid people will do that. You know how dangerous it is to use the mobile phone in the car, holding it while you're steering your wheel. Before the ban came into force on that, I used to do it myself. And it is dangerous. It is dangerous. Oh, the phone's going now. Let me turn the answer phone on 1 minute now. We haven't got time to take phone calls today. Oh, just a minute. Let's see what it is. Hello? Hello, just doing a recording, Wayne, all right? Cheers. Do you know what? The amount of times I've told him that I do my show at this time. It's a liberty, that's what it is. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. I used to do it before I was, before they put the ban in place for mobile phones. It is difficult. It is. And I've seen lorries doing it, people driving coaches, people driving buses. They got one hand here and one hand on the wheel, chatting away merrily. So dangerous. But I think when these laws come in, most people do, actually, like me, do take notice of this. And they stop using their mobile phones holding up. And I think they would probably do the same with smoking. If they got children in the car, they wouldn't light up if it was a law. Your thoughts on that, please. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. So there we are, something to think about there. The old electromagnetic radiation. We're getting more and more in the house, aren't we? Here in the Mirable studio, for example, doing this show, there's 2 computers running, chucking out radiation. There's 2 video screens in front of me there, doing their stuff. They're probably chucking something out as well. Right in front of me there, I've got a big fluorescent light chucking it out, and all this stuff's going through me. Bit of a worry, really, isn't it? Don't like to frighten you. Don't like to frighten you. You know, I've been going on and on over the last few weeks about this swine flu. Wanted to share something else with you there. Oh, don't say, oh no, here he goes again. Now, I want you to listen to this. Another friend of mine does another radio show, Tommy Boyd. He was looking at an item of news a couple of weeks ago here in the UK about the lady in Scotland who died of swine flu. Or so that's how it looked on the paper. Now, we did indeed have a lady die a couple of weeks ago in Scotland who had swine flu. And we're not making that look unimportant or anything like that. Terrible thing. Someone's died. Whatever they die of, terrible thing. You know, I'm sorry. But the papers reported a lady with swine flu, or a lady diagnosed to have swine flu, has died in Scotland. They were the headlines. And my mate was saying, quite often, people don't read the whole story. And halfway down, or 3/4 of the way down, it said, had underlying problems. All right? Now, hear the headline again. A lady diagnosed with swine flu has died. Nowhere in that article did it say she had died from swine flu. Didn't say it anywhere. Was caused by some underlying health problems. Now, we don't know what they were. The family didn't want anyone to know what they were. Fair enough. But I do wonder, indeed, what they were. We're not quite sure exactly what was going on there. So he decided to look in the other people across the world who had died from swine flu. And at this moment, I think it was at that moment, while he'd done his show, was about 400 people worldwide who had died from swine flu. Which actually, you know, it's a lot of people. Of course it's a lot of people. 400 people, very sad. All those people dying of swine flu. Feel sorry for the families and all that. But 400 out of how many? And he started looking around. Not on Wikipedia. Now, that Wikipedia thing, I mean, it's all right, but there's a lot of... The trouble with Wikipedia is there's a lot of people who, I think, put stuff on there which isn't true. It's not absolute fact. Wikipedia, for those of you who don't know, it's like an online encyclopedia. It's a very clever idea. And you look at a word or a subject or something like that, and people put descriptions underneath it, and you can add to it. But say, I suppose, if I didn't like someone, I could add something derogatory about someone, or something, or lie. So I'm not too fond of Wikipedia. Much more the Encyclopedia Britannica. I like that. Do you? Always wanted a set of those, never got them. That's it's brilliant, ever so expensive, very expensive. Have you got a set of those in your living room, I wonder? Or I bet you have, haven't you? You've got a bookshelf. Only posh houses have these things. I bet Suko in New York's got one. Entire walls, great big bookcases on the walls, full of Encyclopedia Britannica. Fantastic. Beautifully made. By the way, we are not being sponsored by Encyclopedia Britannica. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you, as always. Sharing everything. So can I have one of those for Christmas, please? They're about 500 quid they are, aren't they? Beautiful books. And all that stuff's looked into, you know, and done properly with reporters and that. It's not like Wikipedia is one of those things. No, Tommy looked into the 400 people who had died who had swine flu, looking for people who had actually died because of swine flu. And he couldn't find a single one. All of them had something else wrong with them. It's almost a little bit like you having a cold and perhaps being run over and killed. So the news reporters would put, "Man with cold suddenly dies." That would be your headline. "Man with cold suddenly dies." I mean, I can just see it now. Mystery surrounds a man, 21 years old, who got a cold a day ago and suddenly died in the middle of the road. And it would go on, and somewhere there, it would probably say he was run over by a lorry. The trouble is, you don't read all the story, do you? And the journalists, they twist it so that they, I don't know, are making some sort of epic story. Well, actually, the man died because he was knocked over by a lorry, nothing to do with the cold at all. And it was a similar thing with all these flu cases. And Tommy couldn't find one single person who had died because of the swine flu. All these people had something else wrong with them. I don't know what, I didn't look into it. But they all had something else wrong. So, and he also looked at the amount of people that die from flu-type things each year. And there are much less people who died from swine flu than have died from ordinary flu over the last 2 or 3 years. So an interesting fact there. But I still do, you know, it's flu is not something you want. Whether it be swine flu or ordinary seasonal flu or anything like that. If you've got the opportunity to have an injection or as the Americans say, a jab against these things, then I would go and have it. I'm very lucky. We are very, very lucky here in the UK. We can get flu jabs for nothing. We are so lucky with our NHS here. All medical things are free at the point of access. Yes, we do pay for that. Okay? And there are some areas of the NHS that I think money is badly spent. Plush offices of directors, that sort of thing. I just don't agree with it. However, on the whole, the NHS is fantastic. If I'm sitting here chatting to you and I suddenly have, I don't know, touch wood, this won't happen, a heart attack or something like that, all I have to do is pick up the phone, dial 999 and an ambulance will be here in minutes. It will take me to a hospital. I'll be rushed past the queue of people perhaps not so ill as me, straight into casualty and sorted, possibly put in hospital for a while. Maybe I'll have to go in intensive care and have lots of machines attached. If, God willing, they're able to sort me out, and then I come out, I will not owe anyone a single penny, not a cent, nothing. And that is just so fantastic. I know certainly Australians, Americans, you have to pay health insurance, which I gather is very expensive. We've had this conversation a few times, haven't we? So we're so lucky here. Now and again, the NHS do get little things wrong now and again. But when you imagine the millions and millions of people that they look after, it's like everything else. Sometimes they might make a mistake. Sometimes I make a mistake in the things I do, but it's a lot less serious. You know, making a mistake perhaps talking to you. Or making a mistake when I'm DJing somewhere or doing karaoke. Doesn't really matter, does it? I always got so much respect for doctors and surgeons and nurses. The job they do is so important. Everything I do, I don't consider it important. Doing this show I enjoy, and I hope you enjoy some of it too. Some of it's funny, some of it makes you think, some of it's sad. This show, as I said before, is about life. But is it an important thing, doing this? Perhaps not. Is DJing or hosting karaoke in a club or pub, is that important? No, it's not, is it? But nurses and doctors and all people that work in here, that's important. That's important. So the whole flu thing, perhaps not as serious as we thought. Blown out of all proportion by the newspapers. We have over 1,200 people confirmed with cases of the swine flu here in the UK at the moment. One person has died with underlying health problems. What do you think? Let us know. We've got the email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Right. I was going to tell you the about the film I went to see the other day, wasn't I? Shall I leave it until next time? Yes, because we must do emails. Oh, incidentally, this I've got a large microphone in front of me, which I always use. Now, my friend, just a minute, let me get this. My friend bought something on eBay, and I knew it wasn't going to be much good. It's a little, one of those tie clip microphones, and it's so small. Okay? I'm holding it at the moment. It's a little black thing with a bit of sponge on top, and it's got a clip, and it's supposed to clip there and be quite unobtrusive. Look, right? And I quite like this. The only thing is, it was very cheap. It was £4.99 on the internet, and the sound quality is diabolical. It's so noisy. I could I plug this in and you could hear what it's like? Well, maybe not. Maybe I won't. But I might actually get one of these little tie clip microphones. What do you reckon? The really high quality ones from Sennheiser are £150, which I think is probably quite good value. And it would just take the edge, because the microphone I'm using is like a great big arm in front of me, and it's kind of in the way. We've tried it with a little mic stand, but then the table's in the way, so you can never win, dear. I'm never happy, am I? Always trying to improve. Has anyone else used one of these little tie clip microphones, I wonder? Oh dear, now the clip's dropped off. Just a minute. Oh dear. Have you used one, and what sort of quality are they? I suppose if they're there, if they're there right sort of underneath my chin, it'll work quite well, won't it? So I might well get one of those. If you remember the other day when we did the show from the kitchen, part of the show from the kitchen, while I was doing Reardon's cookery course, then I had the microphone, my walkabout microphone, in my pocket, didn't I? And that seemed to work quite well. So if anyone's got any experience of using little tie clip microphones, please let me know, okay? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. That's my email address. Incidentally, if you did see or hear the cookery programme, did anyone try my recipe for a meal? Did anyone try that one? Huh? The medley of Mediterranean vegetables with olive oil. Did you try that recipe? Perhaps you've got a recipe of your own. Chris's Cookery Corner. Do you like that? Yes, perhaps you have. I don't know. Right, to our emails. We have a new friend and listener, boys and girls. Oh, and actually, hang on a minute. He did... I think I've left something on... 1 minute. Where are we now? I think I've left something on... Just a minute. Something I haven't printed off here. Wait. There it is. I'll have to read that straight off the screen for you, the other part of his email. Yes, in the Canary Islands, where I have been to the Canary Islands. I have been to Gran Canaria 3 times. Hello, Chris. I'm a Cuban listener, listening here in the Canary Islands, Cuba. Da 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 da. Oh, there is a song called Cuba. Do you know that one? I've been listening to your shows for a while now, and I have to say, Chris, sleeping pills are nothing compared to this stuff, mate. Beg pardon? What are you suggesting? Are you suggesting my shows are good at helping people sleep? What a cheek and liberty, dear. Shh. I can do, if you want me to do a lullaby, I will do. Perhaps that could be a whole new show. Chris's Lullabies. Go to sleep, you're my best baby. I don't know the words, do I? Mum never read, no, we never had lullabies. Mum never sung me lullabies. But Dad used to come into the bedroom, mine and my sister's, we had separate rooms, and he would tell us magic stories. Literally, and he would make them up. He'd sit there, I always remember Dad, on the side of the bed, telling me magic stories. You know, he should have written them down. They were ever so good. I don't know how he did it. Straight out of his head, making up magic stories. Do you do that with your children, those of you with children? Do you make up little stories while you're sitting there and your child is going to sleep? It must be lovely, that. It's something, I'm afraid, I missed out on all that, you know, bringing up a child and what have you. It's one of those things. You can't have everything in the world, can you? But my sister always says, oh, Chris, you know, she thinks I'm like rolling in money here. And I'm not rolling in money. I'm all right. Don't get me wrong. I'm all right. I'm not poor. And I say, Sharon, you're the richer one. You've got the 3 lovely children. Although sometimes when you hear the way they talk to her, I'm not so sure. Or one of them, anyway. But at the end of the day, you know, people, believe me, people are worth much more than money. Little children, if you've got a dozen children in your house, you're much richer than me. If you've got 1 child in the house, you're richer than me, believe me. Sorry, he says, after several months of passive listening, I have revealed myself. Yes, there you are. Welcome along. And his name is Osmany. A nice name, isn't it? Osmany. Never heard of that one before. Anyway, I found it funny yesterday when you said, if you've never sent in an email, today is the time for you to do so. It sounded to me like missionaries when they ask people to repent of their sins. And yes, you should repent of your sins, Osmany. I am here, as well as being a radio chat show host, DJ, karaoke person, bingo caller, I am also able to forgive you of certain sins. Not all of them. The Pope only allows me to forgive you for certain ones, dear. So you'd better start writing. I will have to, of course, dish up penance. Penance is where you have to do something to, like a punishment for your sins. Okay? You will, of course, have to tell me which religion you are as well, because I only know the punishments for Catholic sins. If you're of any other religion, please let me know, and I will contact your relevant authorities for information and guidance as to what penance to give you. Let me tell you, Chris, I listen to your shows while on my way to college, or any gap I have during the day. Well, if you're a student, I would imagine you've got many gaps during the day, because most people who go to college don't seem to do anything other than get drunk and get off with members, with other people, and go out clubbing and going home with them. That seems to be what students... It wasn't like that when I was at school. That's what you lot do, isn't it, students? You get drunk a lot, you eat rubbish food, and then you keep taking people home with you. It's a shocking way to be, dear. Shocking. I'm just jealous it wasn't like that when I was a student. Oh dear. I really, really enjoy your talk shows, mate. Thanks a lot, and keep up the good job. From Osmany in Gran Canaria. And I did respond. When someone new emails a show, I always like to respond personally. And I asked him what he wants to do when he leaves college. And I said to him, when I go to one of the times I've been to Gran Canaria, I stayed in a place called Maspalomas. I think that's how you say it. Maspalomas. Maspalomas. That's where I stay. And he says, yes, I too love Maspalomas. Completely different environment to that of Las Palmas, more relaxed. Yeah, I've been to Las Palmas as well, only to the shops. You have a lovely McDonald's there, don't you? And a massive bus station. I remember that. Massive bus station at Las Palmas. Palmas, rather. I've not been here long, but I already know many places and towns in Gran Canaria, he says. I like it here lots too. I live in Cape Verde for about 5 years before I came over here, not straight from Cuba. I'm considering becoming a teacher of English as a second language, but there's a few other things I would love to try. Edition, journalism, stuff like that. And that's from Osmany. So, there we are. Thank you very much. That's it there. Thank you very much, Osmany. Nice to hear from you. I hope you'll become one of our regular correspondents, because we haven't got any correspondents on the Canary Islands. You are the first one, my friend. Okay? Welcome. Welcome to the show. Thanks very much to a couple of people who have kindly sent in. I'm just going to move around a bit here, actually, because I'm working kind of on the computer here, and if I move my head, suddenly my voice goes quiet to you. A couple of people that have sent in little sound clips, because I've been asking for the Borg alert that was in one of the Star Treks. You remember? And a couple of people have sent in what they thought it was. Now, this one has come from Doug in Akeley, USA, and he sent me this. Right? Now, I'll do it again. Have to say, Doug, that's pretty close, but it's not the one. All right? And also, Lars. Hello, Lars. Nice to hear you, sir. How are you? Has sent me in this one, right? Same one, okay. It could be that, actually, but louder. And this one he sends as well. All right, now that isn't the one. I've got to tell you that isn't it. That's not the one, definitely. But it could be this, but a lot louder. So what I'll do, I think, is probably put that through my audio editing software. Oh dear, what's happening here? Hang on, my chair's got stuck here. Oh, I'm stuck on a... Hang on, I'm stuck on a... There we are, I got stuck there. I couldn't move from... Oh dear, it's all collapsing. All collapsing. One minute, there we are. Let me get more comfortable again. Yeah, what I think I'll do is put that through my audio editing software and make it louder and make it longer, and see if that sorts out what was going on there. All right, so thank you two. Much appreciated. Very kind of you to bother to find those sounds for me and send them in. All right. Perhaps you have a Borg alert tone. Do you? It sort of goes... It's like a tone, like, but much rougher sound, and it's fairly quick. That to me sounded too slow. I don't think that's the one, okay? But thanks, I much appreciate you sending those two in, Lars and Doug there. It's our mate Brian. Hello, Brian in Canada, who says, hello, Chris. I know that you used to be a keen home baker using a bread making machine. Yeah, not used to. I still do it. I do not buy bread in the shop. I make my own bread always. Absolutely, yes. I make my own bread. in a bread machine, wholemeal loaf, and I've cut the bread right down to just one loaf a week. So I'm doing really well there, and I've lost a bit of weight, but I don't seem to be able to get it below the 13 stone. I have a feeling that that might be my correct weight, 13 stone. Oh, incidentally, I think I mentioned on the show last time that I'd been watching this weight loss program, and there are certain foods that make you feel full. You know, when you've had dinner and you feel full, but there are certain foods that make you feel full for longer than others. And they are the foods with protein, such as lean meat, I suppose chicken, beans, eggs. And this morning, just before I come up to talk to you, I have changed my breakfast from the bowl of fruit, because I used to have a large bowl of fruit in the morning with some bran flakes on top. But after about an hour and a half, you do feel hungry again. Now, it reckons food with protein stops you feeling hungry after such a short space of time. So this morning I have had, and it was delicious actually, I had two scrambled eggs with a little bit of milk in, baked beans and a bit of cheese. So I've changed my breakfast, so we'll try that for a while and see if anything happens. And probably I'll move the bowl of fruit to the afternoon, have that for lunch, because usually I go to sleep shortly after. I say lunch. Lunch is usually about 3 or 4 o'clock for me. But I usually go to sleep for a couple of hours after that. And then I get up and have dinner. So my meals are all look fairly close together. I'll probably have breakfast about 10:30. Lunch, probably about 2 or 3 o'clock. And dinner around about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then when I come in, I'll have a bit of toast about 2 o'clock in the morning. But as for eating between meals, I've almost completely knocked that on the head, so I'm quite pleased with myself for that. Anyway, back to Brian's email. He says, not sure if you're still the home baker. Yes, I am, but there we are. As I remember, when you were trying to stay away from bread in order to lose weight. So you may not thank me for what is about to follow in this message. Oh, Doug. Brian, you're not about to start tempting me with lovely foods of the world, are you? You naughty boy. Over the years, my wife and I have tried a couple of different bread making... I wonder what you were going to say then, Brian. Tried a couple of different what? Oh, I see. Tried a couple of different bread making machines and have never been that happy with the results, so we gave up on them. Oh, you must have been doing it wrong, Brian. Marvellous. I've had 2 bread machines and they're both fantastic. Recently, a friend of mine told me about a new technique for bread making using a Dutch oven, which is a very heavy cast iron lidded casserole. This technique was developed by a professional baker in New York City. And his claim is that with this technique, a 6-year-old can bake bread as good or better than the best bakery. And better still, there is almost no kneading required, so it's almost effortless. Now, I happen to know my friend Joy, who pops on the programme now and again. Very good friend of mine. She's 80... How old are you now, Joy? 83, isn't it? Regular viewer to the programme is our Joy. She makes her own bread. She does all the kneading and all this, so I wonder if Joy's heard about this. He says, here's a link to a YouTube video where someone from the New York Times newspaper interviews that bloke that came up with the idea. And he sends a very, very long... link there. If you want to have a look at that, I would type in Dutch oven bread making into Google and you should be able to find it there somewhere, okay? He says, apparently the success of this method relies on the very high heat retention of the cast iron Dutch oven and the fact that it retains steam. I didn't know this, but it seems that proper professional baking ovens for bread use steam injection to help a good crust. Well, I didn't know that. Of course, you don't get that with a normal domestic bread machine, do you? I do like the noise it makes. You know, sometimes you're maybe in the middle of the night, you might have set your your bread machine to come on, and you're awoken about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning by this clunking sound going on in the kitchen. And of course it's your bread paddle thing turning around, isn't it? How many more times is this phone going to ring today? Just a minute, let's see this. No, I'm not going to lift it. No, let it go to the answer phone. Can't do it now. The email goes on, well, we decided to give this a try, and the results... Oh, I'm listening. Just a minute. I know this. It's James Dean. Hello, James. Yeah, well, I can hear you on the answer phone. Look at the time. What have I told you before? Lunch? At this time of day, dear? Well, you're constantly grazing anyway, aren't you? Anyway, anything to tell me while you're interrupting this email from from Brian in Canada? Thank you very much. Did you try earlier? Oh, I've had 3 calls while I've been sitting here today. It's shocking. What time? I shall ring you while I'm on my way to work later if you want. Well, you will be around today, will you, dear? About 8:30? Bon. Très bien, mon ami. Au revoir. Blah, blah. Goodbye. There we are. That's James Dean there from matineeshow.co.uk. He does a podcast as well. matineeshow.co.uk. Hasn't it been busy in here today? It's like my own switch room. I am a caller. Oh, what are they called? I am a call centre. I have become a call centre today. Anyone with problems, anything at all, ring in about your extended warranties, which we won't honour. If you've got an insurance claim, ring me. Don't worry. I will wriggle and wriggle until I get out of it, like the big companies do. Back to the email. Brian says, we decided to give it a try, and the results have been really amazing. Best bread I have ever tasted, bar none. Great crust, a nice chewy bread with great texture, makes marvellous toast. That's great, isn't it? Mostly, we've been making plain loaves. But the last recipe I made was for cranberry and pecan bread. Very tasty. Well, I wonder if anyone else has got one of these Dutch ovens. Have you? Do you use it much, or is it one of those things that you kind of put in the corner? And I'm kind of wondering how long it takes to actually bake a loaf of bread in one of these ovens. Now, with the bread machine, it takes 5 hours. You put the ingredients in, push a button, and you walk away. And after 5 hours, there you are, a beautiful loaf of bread. I just wonder how long it takes in a Dutch oven. Brian says, just thought that you might be interested. If you decide to give it a try, I can email you the recipes we've been using and give you some tips on getting a suitable Dutch oven. There can be quite a price range, but ours was very inexpensive from Walmart and works just fine. I've never ever seen one of these advertised anywhere, Brian. Actually, never ever seen one. But I might actually have a look on the eBay or something like that. He also sends a picture of the Dutch oven and the first loaf I made. Current loaves look better. And a picture of the Dutch oven, it's like that. As I say, it's this metal, like a big metal casserole dish. And his bread's in the middle there. And I notice that there's paper around the bread. And he says, current loaves look even better than this. Okay, fair enough. A Google search on the internet for bread and Dutch oven will bring up much more information on this method. So the picture says, here is our first loaf just finished, and you can see the Dutch oven. The one we bought is enamelled over the cast iron. You can use this type or a plain cast iron one, although they recommend the enamelled version for bread making. What you see around the loaf is parchment paper. The Dutch oven is sitting on top of our stove as we've just taken it out of the oven. You do bake it inside the oven, of course. Right, so thank you very much for that. Very interesting, that. I've never actually seen one of those Dutch oven things. And I wondered, you know, the parchment paper, is that put in, does that go in with it? Or have you put that round the bread afterwards, I wonder? But I don't know, I mean, and how long's it got to be in the oven for? Is it like a 4-hour job or something like that? Oh my God, just imagine all that electricity. Anyone else had experience of Dutch ovens? Let us know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right, Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Suko writes. Suko we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? And she was late, so I said she was unreliable. She was late by 15 minutes. Shocking, dear. Suko writes, unreliable? It's a liberty. If there's one word to describe Suko Sullivan, it's reliable. Brackets, James Dean is another story. Oh, does he let you down as well, Suko, does he? That was James Dean just on the phone a minute ago. He timed it so that he would ring me while I was here chatting away to you in our private conversations that we have 3 times a week, dear. Unreliable, James Dean? Yes, he is. Unless he wants something, then he's there. I don't suppose for one moment he's ever not turned up or not been at a place where he's had to meet Nicky French or Scott. Incidentally, Scott, who won the X Factor, he's in Dreamboats and Petticoats at the moment. I've never actually met him or spoke to him, but I expect we'll meet at some point. He's becoming quite a big star here in the UK, I think. And he was knocked out the other day while on the stage. Apparently a piece of scenery fell down, hit him on the head, and he was out cold. They had to take him to hospital and the understudy stood in. I don't know much more about that story. You'll have to listen to matineeshow.co.uk to find out more about that and perhaps send James an email. I don't know if does James respond to emails? Is he reliable like that or does he just forget? Yes, it's one of those things. If there's no benefit for him, he's not interested, is he? Eh? Suko says, you failed to mention that as the dutiful mother, I was up all night with my sick child who was running a 103 degrees fever. Remember this, Mr. Reardon. I'm a mother first, a radio superstar second. Another word to describe me is punctual. I am very respectful of other people's time, a sticker for always being on time. Just for those disparaging remarks, I've decided not to sit next to you when we go to see The Lion King. La 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 la. Oh no, hang on, that was Pocahontas. What's the Lion King music? Can you feel the love tonight? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, I love it. Lion King. Looking forward to seeing that with you, Suko, and not sitting next to you, incidentally. She says, I've decided not to sit next to you when we go see Lion King. You can sit next to your dear friend Jerry Sullivan of the Chris and Jerry Show. That's her husband. Don't start trying to palm your husband off onto me, Suko. I'm not interested, dear. And she puts, Suko Trustworthy Sullivan. P.S. Now, you remember I said I was noticing on my carpet in the bedroom, I get bits from my flannelette sheets, which incidentally have now been put away for the summer period. They're back in the drawer now, all right? P.S. The little bits that shed from your flannelette sheets are called pilling. Only flannelette sheets of inferior quality pill, not the £50 per sheet department store quality. You know, Mr. Mingy, you get what you pay for. What a cheek, dear. I don't mind swinging around that Hoover to save myself, 40 quid a sheet? I'm not paying £50 for one piece of material. The world's gone mad, dear, mad! Oh, and by the way, when I visit in July, out of the goodness of my heart, I will show you the proper way to do an abdominal crunch or a stomach crunch. Or maybe I should just let you waste your time doing them wrong. She says, no, I'm too nice for that. There's another word to describe me, nice. I'm a very nice person in case you didn't know. Well, I had noticed, Suko. I know you're a very nice person, dear. Dear me, what do you think, you lot, eh? Now, I've only got a minute or so left. I'm looking for a smaller email here. Well, I can't find one. Can't find a small email when you want one, can you? How funny is that? Right, well, I've got quite a few here I'll do on the next show. Just quickly, one more here from Doug, who says, hi, Chris, I came across this and it made me think of you. I love the way you pronounce the word squirrels. Well, how do you pronounce the word squirrels then? How do you... Doug's in Akeley, USA, and he sends a little link to a squirrel website. We are obsessed here in the Mirable Studios with squirrels, I'm afraid. How do you say squirrel then? Doug, perhaps, can you record me a little MP3 of you saying squirrel? Go on, say it, squirrel. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way I'm saying squirrel. But I shall now go and practice, because that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching and listening to the show. Join in by email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Remember, the emails will take a little while to come up in a future show, okay? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you soon. Bye-bye.